In this video, we're going to talk about applications of quadratics. So first on your note sheet, you have this image. It talks about some quadratic keywords. So if I'm looking at this picture, I can see that I have a couple things. So first of all, when it asks something about when does the object hit the ground or how long was the object in the air, we're going to be looking at that positive 0 or that positive x-intercept. So again, when is talking about time, and same with how long, also the time. So again, we're looking at the x value here, x comma 0. When they're talking about how high something started off the ground, we're looking at that y-intercept. So keep in mind this number here is going to be 0 comma some number y. That is that height that that object started off the ground. When we're looking at real world examples, we're not going to really use anything on the left side or below the x-axis because it's negative. The other important feature is our vertex. At the vertex, this is our maximum height. And so there's two things that we can get here. When it's at the maximum height would be our time versus how high would be the height. So depending on what question they're asking, depends on if we're looking for that x value or that y value. Another thing that we could want to know is how high the object is after so many seconds. Then we're going to plug in that many seconds. So let's say it was 2 seconds. Then we look on the graph at where 2 seconds were and determine what that y value is. They could also ask you how high something is at a certain time. And then we would look at what the time is at that height. So keep those things in mind. So as we look at this first application problem, it says a rocket is launched from a tower. The height of the rocket is in feet. So the height here is in feet. And the time here is in seconds. So based on the information that we read here, we can add that to the graph. Here's the equation. Now, we don't really need this equation. They graphed it already here for us, but if they didn't give us the graph, we could graph that. So let's go through and read some of these questions and use our graph to help us answer them. At what height, what is the height of the tower in which the rocket was launched from? So I want to look at where the rocket started. So I want to look for that starting point. And I'm going to see that right about here. Now let's figure out what my scale is. So I have 5 tick marks between 0 and 100. So that means my scale is going by 20s. So that means the height of the rocket when it was launched was 80 feet. After how many seconds, so again, I'm looking at the x-axis then, did the rocket hit the ground? So we're looking for when the height is at 0, which will be right here at 10 seconds. What is the maximum height of the rocket? So we're looking for the height. So we're looking for h or the y. So my maximum is about here. And I would say just shy of that tick mark. So we're going to round up. So again, we said our scale was at 20s. So let's just double check. 420, 440, 460, 480, 500. So we're going to round it up to about 440. If we were using Desmos, we would have an exact number, but we don't. So 440 feet. After how many seconds did the rocket reach its maximum? So now we're looking at that same point, but now we're looking for time. So this is 5, because that's 4 and that's 6. So this would be 4.5. So halfway between 4.5 and 5 would be 4.75. But then it is asking a second question here, so let's not forget that. It says, what feature is this called? So the feature that we're talking about when it's at the maximum, that is the vertex. What is the height of the rocket after 9 seconds? So we want to go on our graph and look when time is 9 and find our height. So 8, 9 is going to be right here between 8 and 10. Trace that over. 120, 140. So 140 feet at 9 seconds. Over what time interval is the rocket increasing? So again, now we're giving an interval of time. So if I go back and look at my graph, I can see that the rocket is increasing from here to here, and then it'll decrease after that. So remember, we're talking about interval of time. So 0 to, we said that where it hits that maximum at 4.75. So it's an increase from 0 to 4.75, or 0 seconds to 4.75 seconds.